Self-improvement as the catalyst means understanding that the real engine of change in life begins within the moment a person takes full responsibility for their growth, their mindset, and the way they respond to challenges. Everything around them begins to shift. Life is not just a series of external events that happen to us. It is deeply intertwined with how we think, feel, and act in response to those events. When someone commits to improving themselves, whether it's through learning new skills, adopting healthier habits, building emotional intelligence, or reshaping negative thought patterns, they essentially alter the lens through which they see the world, and that change in perspective alters the outcomes they experience. The concept isn't abstract theory, it's a practical truth observed across countless lives. A person with self-discipline tends to navigate difficulties better, making decisions that keep them moving forward instead of being stuck. A person who invests in their knowledge and skills often finds new doors opening in career and personal opportunities. These are not coincidences, they are the natural consequences of intentional self-development. When you focus on self-improvement, you start building a foundation of personal resilience. Resilience is not simply the ability to survive hard times, it's the ability to thrive despite them. This resilience is born from constant self-reflection and a willingness to adapt. You begin to notice your own patterns of reaction and can choose better responses over impulsive ones. For example, someone who works on their patience through mindfulness or meditation won't just feel calmer internally, they'll start handling conflicts in a way that strengthens relationships rather than breaking them. That improvement in relationships is a direct ripple effect of the internal work done on oneself. In a similar way, a person who commits to physical fitness is not just gaining strength or losing weight, they're improving their energy, mental clarity, and self-confidence, which can lead to better performance at work, more initiative in social situations, and a greater willingness to take on challenges. Self-improvement also shapes identity. Who you believe yourself to be guides your actions every day. If you begin to see yourself as a lifelong learner, you'll naturally seek out new knowledge, stay open to feedback, and grow in adaptability. If you develop the belief that you are capable of discipline and persistence, you'll be more likely to stick with your goals through difficulty. This isn't about forcing fake positivity, it's about actively constructing a self-image rooted in truth, growth, and capability. Over time, this identity becomes the foundation from which you operate, and the world around you begins to respond accordingly. Employers, partners, friends, and even strangers tend to treat you in alignment with the energy and confidence you project. The fascinating part is that once you start refining yourself in one area, it often spills over into other areas without you realizing it. Improving your health might give you the mental clarity to improve your finances. Developing your emotional intelligence might help you excel in leadership roles. This cross-pollination of progress happens because you are, at your core, changing who you are. When you treat self-improvement as the catalyst, you start understanding the power of intentional living. You stop drifting and start steering your life toward the kind of outcomes you desire. Instead of waiting for luck or blaming external factors, you begin to focus on what you can control, your habits, your mindset, your daily choices. This doesn't mean ignoring the role of external circumstances. It simply means you're stacking the odds in your favor by showing up as the best possible version of yourself. And when you consistently show up in that way, external circumstances have less power to dictate your happiness or success. Even when challenges arise, you approach them with a resourcefulness and determination that someone without self-improvement habits might not have. It's also important to recognize that self-improvement is not a single event. It's an ongoing process. You don't arrive at a final version of yourself. You continue to evolve. The habits you build today prepare you for the challenges of tomorrow, and the lessons you learn from those challenges prepare you for even greater growth ahead. In this way, self-improvement becomes a self-sustaining cycle. As you improve yourself, you encounter new opportunities, and as you pursue those opportunities, you discover new areas where you can grow further. This constant evolution is what keeps life vibrant and meaningful. You stop seeing personal development as a chore and start seeing it as a privilege, the privilege of shaping the person you become. The beauty of making self-improvement the catalyst for change is that it bypasses the need for perfect conditions. You don't need everything in your life to be stable before you start. In fact, starting in imperfect circumstances often leads to deeper growth. When you take deliberate steps to improve yourself during hard times, you develop a kind of strength that is unshakable. You learn that your power is not dependent on the external world behaving a certain way. This realization alone can transform how you face life. Instead of being at the mercy of events, you become the kind of person who can influence those events, or at the very least, navigate them with confidence and dignity. What many people miss is that the external changes they crave, a better job, healthier relationships, more financial security, are often the byproducts of internal change.
Trying to fix the outside without addressing the inside is like repainting a house with a crumbling foundation. But when you strengthen the foundation first, your mindset, your discipline, your character, the rest begins to align naturally. The opportunities that once seemed out of reach start appearing within grasp, not because the world suddenly got easier, but because you became more capable of meeting it head on. This is why self-improvement is the catalyst. It accelerates and magnifies every other form of progress. Without it, external achievements can feel hollow or fleeting. With it, even small wins feel deeply satisfying because they are built on the solid ground of who you have become. Inner change reflects outwardly, is the idea that who we are on the inside inevitably shapes the world we experience on the outside. The way we think, feel, and perceive life doesn't just stay locked within our minds, it radiates through our words, actions, and even subtle behaviors that others pick up on. People often believe they can hide what they truly feel or think, but over time, the truth of their inner state becomes visible in the way they carry themselves, the choices they make, and the opportunities they attract. When someone works on their inner world, healing from old wounds, cultivating positive beliefs, developing patience, nurturing gratitude, it changes the energy they bring into every situation. That shift in energy alters how others respond to them, how circumstances unfold, and how they navigate life's unpredictable nature. In this way, personal transformation doesn't just improve how you feel internally, it redefines your entire external reality. When you change your inner dialogue, you also change your outward communication. Someone who has spent years speaking to themselves in a harsh or self-critical tone will often unconsciously communicate in the same way to others. But when they begin replacing self-criticism with self-compassion, their interactions shift. They become gentler, more understanding, and more confident. This draws people toward them rather than pushing them away. That change may seem subtle, but it can have massive ripple effects. Better relationships, stronger connections, and deeper trust with those around them. Even in professional settings, the shift is noticeable. A leader who genuinely believes in their own worth and has clarity of mind tends to inspire and motivate others without resorting to fear or control. In this sense, the workplace becomes a mirror of the leader's internal state, reflecting either inner chaos or inner strength. Inner change also shapes how you perceive problems and opportunities. Two people can face the same challenge and have completely different outcomes, not because one is luckier, but because their inner world determines their approach. If your inner state is filled with fear and doubt, challenges appear larger than they are, and opportunities seem out of reach. On the other hand, if you've cultivated resilience, optimism, and a sense of possibility, you see difficulties as temporary and solvable. You're willing to act, experiment, and take calculated risks. This mindset doesn't guarantee that every outcome will be perfect, but it dramatically increases your chances of turning situations in your favor. Over time, this becomes a self-reinforcing loop. A healthier inner state produces better actions lead to better results, and those results further strengthen your inner stability. Even the smallest shifts in your internal state can have profound external consequences. For example, a person who practices daily gratitude begins to notice more things to be grateful for in the outside world. Their conversations start reflecting appreciation rather than complaint. This attracts more goodwill from others and builds stronger bonds. Similarly, someone who works on emotional regulation through meditation or breathing exercises doesn't just feel calmer, they start making clearer decisions, avoiding unnecessary conflicts, and inspiring trust in those around them. These external benefits are not the goal in themselves, they are natural outcomes of the inner transformation. The idea that the outer world mirrors the inner world is also visible in body language and presence. People who are weighed down by stress, regret, or unresolved emotional pain often display it physically. Slouched posture, tense facial expressions, restless movements. Conversely, a person with a peaceful and confident inner state tends to have open, relaxed body language. They walk into a room with a sense of ease, and others notice it even before a word is spoken. This isn't about pretending to be confident, it's the natural byproduct of genuine internal alignment. In fact, pretending without doing the internal work often creates a disconnect that people intuitively sense. Authenticity emerges only when the inner and outer are in harmony. Inner change also influences the types of relationships you maintain. When you carry unresolved insecurities or negative self-beliefs, you may unconsciously attract people who confirm those beliefs, partners, friends, or colleagues who don't treat you with respect because deep down you don't expect or demand it. But when you work on self-worth and emotional health, you naturally begin to set healthier boundaries and attract people who value and uplift you. It's not magic, it's alignment. You start seeing yourself differently, and that changes what you will and won't accept from others. In this way, personal growth can lead to a complete shift in your social environment simply because your internal compass is pointing in a new direction. Another layer of inner change reflecting outwardly is the influence on long-term life patterns. For example, someone who has transformed their relationship with money from fear and scarcity to responsibility and abundance will make different choices, investing wisely, avoiding impulsive spending, and seizing opportunities that align with their values. Over years, these choices build tangible external results: financial stability, business success, or freedom from debt. The process began internally with a change in mindset, but eventually manifested as visible, measurable results in the external world. The same principle applies to health, career, and creativity. Before the external achievements appear, the internal groundwork must be laid. Inner transformation also changes how you experience success. Without inner growth, external achievements can feel empty. People often chase titles, possessions, or recognition, only to find they still feel restless or unfulfilled. That's because the inner world hasn't caught up with the outer accomplishments. However, when personal growth is prioritized, external success feels richer and more meaningful. You appreciate it, you manage it wisely, and you use it in ways that align with your values. In this sense, the external is simply a reflection of the internal harmony you've cultivated. Even in the face of loss or failure, inner change reveals its power. Someone with a strong and stable internal foundation can face setbacks with grace rather than despair. They see failures as lessons rather than personal definitions. This resilience not only helps them recover faster, but also inspires those around them, creating a positive impact that extends beyond their personal life. They become living proof that inner strength can withstand outer turbulence. The connection between the inner and outer worlds is continuous and dynamic. Change in one inevitably triggers change in the other. The more consciously you work on shaping your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, the more intentional you become in shaping your external reality. It's a cycle that can either work for you or against you, depending on where you choose to focus. By directing effort inward first, the outward naturally begins to align in ways that often feel effortless, even though they are the result of deep and consistent inner work. The truth is simple yet profound: lasting change begins within. When you cultivate a healthy, resilient, and positive inner world, it naturally reshapes your actions, relationships, and opportunities. The outer world becomes a reflection of the strength, clarity, and values you've nurtured inside. By focusing on self-growth first, you don't just change your circumstances, you change the very foundation from which your life unfolds, creating results that are both authentic and sustainable.